We consider the historical development of public institutions as an important field of study and encourage a continuing inquiry into the subject. In the meantime, this ninth topic very briefly outlines the supposed main functions of various public institutions and how they often fall short of their pledge to promote public welfare. Herein lies the heart and soul of all social ills, in the sheer fact that public institutions benefit the institutions more than the public. The task of government is supposedly to manage vast national and local resources and collect taxes from its citizens in order to redistribute wealth equitably by way of socialized services and infrastructures. The state, of course, is the most powerful of all public institutions. Its apparatus is very big on corruption, big on misallocation of public funds, and extra big on political opportunism. What to do? Oppose a police state, oppose graft and opportunism in government, and the privatization of key state implements, such as energy, water, technology, and scientific research. Prioritize social services, particularly education, health, housing, food, and jobs, before military spending and debt service. Agricultural lands and marine resources constitute the backbone of our economy. In the countryside particularly, large estates remain in the hands of a few rich families. In constricting Philippine agriculture to its inefficient, backward feudal mode, tenancy deprives farmers the fair return of their hard work, consigns them to perennial poverty, and renders precarious our food security. What to do? Oppose deliberate delays in the implementation of agrarian reform, the laying down of urgent food security concerns, and land conversions. Propose the full application of agrarian, aquatic, and forestry reforms towards non-petroleum-based agriculture, fishing, and aquaculture. Promote gender's integrative and collective farming. Toxic products and disregard for public safety, tax evasion, and rigging of bids don't surprise anybody in this country. Whatever it takes to make big money is the business of big business. The denudation of our forests, poisoning of rivers, air and water pollution, along with the marginalization of laborers, are the monuments of corporate genius. And after all this so-called progress, the Philippines remains a supplier of cheap labor and under-processed raw material. What to do? Oppose ecologically hazardous industries, union busting, casualization, contractualization, child labor, and impingement of corporate interest upon government. Strengthen the consumer movement, promote cooperatives and barter guilds, and develop communitarian business ethics and networks like fair trade. The prophetic mandate that churches assumed unto themselves is to prepare the way for the coming dispensation of God's justice and love. But the hierarchical institutional church is well known for its ambivalence. As it preaches humility and love for enemies, it had its dissenters burned at the stake. Its supposedly daring prophetic voice is ironically often late and lame, if not downright reactionary. While admonishing people against the lure and futility of material possessions, it extends the borders of its vast properties. While insisting that God is no respecter of persons, it demonizes gays and lesbians, and disallows women from priesthood. In many ways, religion is in reality more a tool of oppression than the much-hyped messenger of salvation. Oh Lord, what are we to do? Oppose sectarian encroachment in public spaces and gender-biased catechism. Propagate social teachings of various faiths on such themes as justice, peace, and integrity of creation, ecumenism, interfaith spirituality, and interreligious dialogue and cooperation. The job of media is to facilitate the flow of information and mediate the exchange of views. But in the hands of private investors, it inevitably succumbs to profit motive. The sexist and racist rubbish that TV dishes out regularly is the fruit of a conspiracy among media networks, advertisers, and a passive viewing public. Furthermore, it has become a routine for media programs and personalities to spin information and manipulate public opinion. Meanwhile, real journalists are frequent customers of harassment and killings which are taken for granted, if not in fact licensed by government. What to do? Oppose censure, advertisers-driven publications, and persecution of the press. Promote independent, free, fearless, and socially relevant journalism, and support small, community-owned and managed media facilities. They actually say the same thing, protect the people. But when government forces and insurgents collide, it is ordinary civilians, particularly women and children, who get caught in the crossfire. That power comes from the barrel of a gun still pretty much dictates the mores of armies, and soldiers often get away with terrorizing the people in the name of the people. What to do? Oppose hamleting, forced evacuations, and the stationing and operations of armies of all sides in civilian residences. Propose peace pacts and ceasefire agreements, not between government and revolutionary fronts, but between communities and both insurgent and government forces. Urge government to abandon war as a policy in addressing social unrest. Demand accountability from all armed groups. Set up community-run and openly monitored sanctuaries and zones of peace. Remind soldiers that the true mission of genuine revolutionaries is neither to broker political power nor to serve the party, but to protect the public and serve the people. And that's even according to them. The social mission of an academe is not to educate, but to educate everybody. And its scholarly task is not to provide answers, but to provoke questions. The irony of quality education, which presumably teaches gender fair and benevolent values, is that it's so expensive it disqualifies by default the supposed beneficiaries of such an education, the underprivileged. It's like saying, let's be fair to the poor by properly educating the rich. On the other side of campus are colleges and seminaries that manufacture memory chips, robots, and dogmatists. What to do? Kindly please stop putting up expensive, exclusivist, sectarian, elitist, and profit-driven schools. If you have a choice, don't enroll in them. Don't work there. Propose the full extent of academic freedom and education for all. Promote rights-based instruction and multi-competent and cooperative, instead of competitive, learning platforms. The Internet, or World Wide Web, used to be an exclusive postal service of scientists. Nowadays, more and more people converse, do business, do their homework, research, play games, find love, and gather around in virtual space. McLuhan's village is literally an international world. On the other hand, big governments and their multinational corporate counterparts want to ensure control over all the world's resources by invading other countries and regulating trade to maintain their faltering global economic stronghold. What to do? Oppose global hegemony such as championed by World Trade Organization, justified by economic liberalism, and imposed upon all through U.S. aggression. Conversely, promote shareware platforms, open source technologies, and people-to-people cross-cultural internationalism. They are usually non-government organizations, small institutes, civic and people's organizations. Many of them are mere pets of funding agencies, politicians, corporations, and even government. Civil society was originally understood to be a persuasive balancing force vis-a-vis the awesome coercive powers of the state and the formidable clout of commerce. In our case, we simply say its role is two-pronged: campaigns and community building. As campaigner, it keeps tabs on institutions, and as builder of communities, it explores communitarian models and praxis that meet the prescriptions of peace. What to do? Oppose civil society organizations that merely serve as transmission belts of government, business, or revolutionary fronts. Challenge public institutions, including civil society, to devise or revise policies and programs in order to better serve, not lord it over, the public. Explore positive models of communities that demonstrate cooperation and equity in diversity.
Mula pa sa sinapupunan ay di ka ikatatantanan ng mga institusyong lipunan. Di mo ba tinatanong minsan kung bakit may gobyerno, kung bakit may negosyo, kung bakit may mga simbahan? Radyo, TV, dyaryo, revolusyonaryo, kung bakit may mga paaralan? Magpahanggang sa iyong libingan ay di ka nila lulubayan. Tao Kung bayan ba'y tinutulungan o di kaya'y pampabigat lang. Kung bakit may gobyerno, kung bakit may negosyo, kung bakit may mga simbahan, radyo, TV, dyaryo, revolusyonaryo, kung bakit may mga paaralan. Anong pagkatuturan kundi mapaglingkuran? Anong bayan katuturan kundi mapaglingkuran? Anong bayan katuturan kundi mapaglingkuran? Anong pa?
So far, we have outlined a social vision moored in equity and mutual recognition. And as if that's not difficult enough, spirituality, a deep faith in goodwill and grace, goes beyond fairness and social responsibility. It is a calling to a joyful life of self-giving and daily renewal of oneself. And we know very well that social transformation and self-renewal are inseparable helpmates. Deceit is godfather to corruption. Ninong ng tiwali ang sinungaling. Sympathy is the cornerstone of the house of peace. Pakikiramay ang panulukan ng tahanan ng kapayapaan. Arrogance and envy make the recipe for hierarchism and cruelty. Yabang at inggit ang sahog ng pataasan at pananakit. Blessed are those who find joy in doing good. Hindi sila madaling mapag-good. Pinagpala ang masasayang gumagawa ng mabuti. They don't tire easy. The wings of change are made of hope. Yari sa pag-asa ang bagwis ng pagbabago.
Sa wangis ng Diyos tayo ay ginawa. Sa Biblia at Koran, alamat haraya. Anya ni Jesus, alaan, bathala. Paglingkuran, mahalin ang kapwa. Sa sangnilikha, maging pagpapala. Mamuhay ika bilang halimbawa. Ang pananampalataya'y sa gawa. Mangyari nawa, o mangyari nawa. Mangyari nawa, o mangyari nawa.
A peace covenant. Shall we say it together? We are determined to work with others in evolving vocabularies, technologies, laws, and customs that uphold democracy, rights, good governance, and peace values to enable communities to exact accountability from public institutions. Amidst conflicts emanating from species and human diversities, economic disparity, and divergent belief systems, we envision a diverse, fair, sufficient, and plural society.